What's up, contractors? Today we are ranking babies, and by that I mean we are ranking logos, because I know how very much you all care for and love your logo. I intend to treat it with the sweetest care that I can, that one would a small child. We're just going to heavily scrutinize these. If it is your first time making a logo, you will not make the same mistakes, and if you currently have a logo you aren't happy with, you'll kind of get some good pointers on what to do. Okay, we're going to go through and look at people who have updated their logos. I think that probably would be the nicest way to do it. Right off the bat, we have a pond contractor here, Amen Corner Ponds. And we can see right away from their logo, they have just a plain circle, a script font. Anything that is handwritten is known as a script font, cursive writing, and then a little fish here. So a couple of the changes they made from this logo right here to this one, they simplified. They chose a sans serif font here, which means it doesn't have the little marks on the edge of the layers. That makes it feel pretty modern. Generally, if you have a serif font, that's going to feel more regal, more higher end. If you have a sans serif font, that's going to feel more modern, a little bit more techy. So if you're aiming at a younger demographic, that's kind of what you want to go for. And then they mix that with the cursive and then just a plain colored fish here. A lot of what you'll recognize with what companies are doing now is they're simplifying logos. Because you got to think, like, you're going to put this on everything. You're going to put this on your yard sign, on your truck wrap, on business cards. You're going to have it on t-shirts, on polos. You're going to have it everywhere, so it needs to be versatile. Amen did a great example of this, and honestly, a good logo to start out with. Not bad here, but massive step up here. You can tell this is a high-end brand. This is GG Homes and Construction. This is one of their older logos here. And they've actually done two updates. When it comes to logos, there are three main things to consider with it. So there are your brand colors. Those should be represented in your logo. You have your icon, which is this top section here, the GG. That's their icon. And then the last one is you have your font. And so for this, they did Homes and Construction, and then they have a separate font for GG. Anytime somebody's making their first logo, this tends to be what they do. They have an icon in the center, usually something pretty generic like this, and then text beneath it that says what they do. It does look a little bit lower end, and one thing I don't like about this specifically is these buildings, because they look kind of jaggedy and wonky. Honestly, they remind me of Pizza Hut. They had like that Wing City thing for a while. It doesn't look very high end, so here's the first update. Massive change. So you see they're still going with GG Homes and Construction. That hasn't changed. They're now incorporating a cool house into the thing. It's very minimalistic, and it's built with a hammer and nail. That's cool. A lot of times contractors want to incorporate tools into the logo. What you need to remember is that the logo is not for you, but it is for your homeowners, and it's supposed to attract them. A lot of times if you put in like a tool or a lawnmower or something, that tends to make people focus on the how you're getting it done, and they just think about the service. Subconsciously, you want to be showing them the transformation that you're making. So the fact that these are going into a home, I think that's a good way to do it. And we'll come across some more examples later of tools used in a worse way. They also have this gold gradient on here. You can do gold, you can definitely do it. We've seen people do it, people are still doing it. It's just a little bit harder to work with, and I think they realized that because they actually have a third logo type, which is this one right here. Now, this one is pretty much the same exact thing, but if you look at it, they took off the gradients and they just added in this blue instead of black. So it's pretty good now. Now we have a base of two colors. They aren't too high contrast, and this can apply pretty much anywhere. Last thing to note on this one is they have updated their font as well. So if you're doing stuff like this where you have an outline, it tends to look cheap, and people tend to look at it as like you just typed it out. And if your logo looks cheap, they're going to think your brand's cheap. That's the thinking here. So they swapped it out. Looks like a much higher end brand, a brand that I'm willing to spend more money with. Okay, so the next logo we have is a little bit different. This is from Rob Long with Longwire. So he is working on home theaters, whole home audio, the Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff makes it a smart home. He's very techie, and this logo is very techie. Like right away off the bat, I see he's got the red, blue, green, and I guess it's supposed to resemble a screen here. It's kind of like each pixel has RGB. It reminds me, for some reason, of the Atari logo. Yeah, 3 lines with 3 different colors. That's where I'm getting that. So it is a very techie logo, but it's also a little bit unclear what he does. Kind of looks like he's like a gaming company or something like that. So he updated his logo, And this right here is much better because they should have some sort of idea for what you do. And this does so much better for him because you see a house, it looks like a power button, and he still incorporated those colors. So now we have kind of something that's like, okay, he probably does like tech stuff for my home, and that's all the logo needs to get across. You don't need to put your services in your logo. You don't need to put every single thing. Your logo is really just the first impression. It's the face of your business. So to get really smart about it, your icon can do a lot of that heavy lifting, and Rob's has an excellent logo because it does just that. Uh-oh. You know what time it is now. We've reached the halfway point of the video. And you know what that means. That means it's time to hit the like button so that way other contractors can get this content too. Okay, back to it. Okay, next up we have Rhea Pro Construction. This is Rhea Professional Construction. I mentioned to you earlier about the tools. This one is a good offender of that. And then this font here, a little bit hard to read. When it comes to this font stuff, it's like, well, I can easily read it. Right, you can read it now, but let's see, we zoom out and then we throw it on a truck wrap and you pass by it quickly. Well, now it's a lot harder to read. When we're talking about legibility, we aren't just saying, can you read it? We're saying, can you easily read it? The other thing is on this logo is it feels rough. And that works for some companies, but if you are trying to appeal to a high-end homeowner, that is not necessarily what you want to come off with. Jamie Rhea, he knew this and updated his logo. Now we have this, Rhea Pro Construction. Completely different world here. So because construction is in the name, you already know what it does. It is a bright red bold. It stands out, especially compared to what it was. Now this was another one they had professionally done. A lot of these, you can just have them done on Fiverr. It's just a matter of asking the right questions to the designer and making sure that you guys are on the same page. They should understand like, hey, where did the name of this company come from? Like Amen Corner Ponds. Like, why did you guys choose that name? What does that mean to you? Okay, and then you talk about what values do you want in your business. Finding that stuff out and then having the logo reflect that. Those are the conversations you should have with your designer. Wherever you do it, whether it's through Fiverr, find somebody who you can have those conversations with so it doesn't end up being generic, but then you can craft it and then your baby will be your baby and not just a generic baby. Okay, I have screenshotted a post from Nick Brovia into the Wealth Builders Facebook group here. And he said, hey guys and gals, I've just started with the group and I'm in the process of rebranding my company, Masters of Disasters Inc., to a name which doesn't stray too far from the licensed entity, but will cater to a higher end audience for kitchens and baths. My background is disaster restoration and investment. So he's taken his background and built it into Mod, which sounds like a modern home renovation company. And so he has kept his history involved with it, but has also bridged it into something that looks extremely high-end. If we go to his site, we will see the exact same thing. Redesign, remodel, restore. That's their tagline. Excellent thing here is if you have a tagline like that, you can have it on something like a website or where your logo is going to be larger. But if you're putting it on a t-shirt, a printout, or on your cards or something like that, then you can do it with just the icon and text itself. Okay, so that's all of the logos for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this format of video, I'm going to point you over to this video right here. It's me doing the exact same thing but with truck wraps. So if you're branding your company or rebranding it, this is probably going to be super beneficial for you to watch as well. I hope you guys have an excellent one, and I will catch you on the next one.